Oh man. Hello, hello. Thanks for dropping by. Today we're going to take a look at rugby, and more specifically, we're going to take a look at the Springboks. And more specifically than that, we're going to take a look at a video titled "The Most Feared Rugby Team in the World, the Springboks Are Brutal Beasts," from a YouTube channel called Die Hard Rugby. And I have never seen rugby played to any degree. Besides a scrum, I probably saw a scrum on the news. But I've never seen it played until I started this channel like 3 months ago. But I thought it would be interesting perhaps to people outside the US to know like kind of how rugby's been perceived here, at least from my perspective. If you want to go straight to the video, feel free to fast forward. But I'll just relay something I was thinking about earlier, and that is these days on the internet you can see any sport anywhere, anytime. It's not really an issue. But before the internet, there was like limited things. You couldn't see everything. And I'm in LA, and a 30-minute news show would have like 5 minutes of sports. And here they'd cover the Dodgers or the Lakers, whoever was in season. And there was never any rugby coverage. And but I've always known, even when I was a kid, I've always known two names: the Springboks and the All Blacks. And the reason for that is not because of really watching them as a sports team or play a sport. It was because even though the game is like never been popular here, I think it was like in 1900 or something, but since then it hasn't been very popular here. But those two teams were always, or not always, but every 10 years or so, they would pop up like on a show like 60 Minutes or a show called Dateline or something, where they would have like little 15-minute stories and sort of entertainment stories. And they, there'd be an introduction, a woman saying, "Welcome to Dateline. Tonight, Bob Jenkins is taking a trip to South Africa to introduce you to the best team you've never heard of. They're called the Springboks, and they play a sport called rugby." And it'd be like, a little story about the Springboks, or there'd be another show that says, like, "If you think the New York Yankees dominate their sport, wait till you meet the All Blacks, New Zealand's rugby team. What's rugby? You'll find out after this commercial." That kind of thing. It was like those two teams transcended the sport and became just like these almost mythical organizations or something. I don't know how to describe it, but people, they got exposure as being something special, but it wasn't really about rugby. It was about these two teams. So that's why I've always known those two teams I've always known the All Blacks, and I've always known the Springboks, the name at least, without ever seeing the game played. So anyway, that might not be as interesting to you as it was to me, but thanks for sticking around and listening. And now, let's go to the video. But if you want to subscribe, that would be very cool. I'd appreciate it a lot. Like, comment, and with that out of the way, the most feared rugby team in the world, the Springboks.
It's almost not physicality; it's brutality. They will want to rough you up.
South Africans, they go hard. I think they almost try to go out of your way to intimidate you a little bit.
Coward Dicky, Sanaya Claus, bigger.
Oh man, the announcer is the most intense thing. got such great timing with these passes, you know. Not as easy as they make it look.
Good step. Phillipson's got LaRue inside it. There's Billy LaRue. Aronson on the right. There goes Aronson. And Aronson has stepped Smith.
That's
and
interesting.
Aronson gets his 7th try.
I'm not sure how that is. I don't know what the name Aaron said or something, but he's number 14. And I did a video on Cheslin Colby not long ago, and if I'm correct, he was number 14. And I know rugby numbers correspond to the positions. So I'm not sure when this was, but if I'm not mistaken, that's the same number that Cheslin Colby wears. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there's, you know, I'm sure they have multiple people for each position. I don't know if they all play every game.
In 7 test matches.
Oh man, so accurate with the passes, on the moves, you know, full speed. That's a long way in the air.
60 seconds coming up here. South Africa seemingly having all the play.
That's amazing, you know, that's amazing. If I'm not mistaken, like this guy could not be in front of the person who kicked the ball until the ball was kicked. And if that's the case, not only was this guy fast enough to track it down, but the guy who kicked it the perfect height and kept it in the air perfectly, because this guy caught it on the run. So that's a lot of skill involved in that kind of thing. He went through like 7 guys, and I think that's the All Blacks. It's a long pass. Jeez. Oh man, right in the old head. Oh my God, that's crazy. He just bounced off that guy. That was that, I don't know who that was. He was standing over the guy. It looked like it sort of brought up some, as they say, temper flare. I don't know what happened there. That's a penalty or what?
The Springboks have gone deep. And they've gone down. Oh,
Wow. I don't know the rules of what's involved in a scrum. I don't know where the ball goes, how it comes out, what they're trying to do, but I've never seen one team overpower another team in that situation so drastically. I mean, they just moved him, what's that, like 5 meters or something? And then the ball just like was sitting there and a guy just like tapped it. That's, forgive me, I don't know the scrum rules or what, you know, I don't know what's happening really. I don't know where that ball's originally placed. I don't know what they're doing. I never see the ball until it pops out. I don't know what's going on. All I know there is they pushed him back a long ways, and it was like the easiest try ever. At least it was easy for the guy who did it, although he might have been involved in the scrum. So it wasn't easy. It took a lot of effort to move a team that far, but the actual touching of the ball in the scoring zone was pretty simple.
easy as that. Some momentum.
And again, that just move. I've never seen teams move so well.
The right direction. Marks him over.
I know that guy, Faith de Klerk. Oh man, that's just a textbook tackle.
Gain away by de Klerk. Pollard puts the cross kick for Marcus who steps and scores.
You know, you're so used to seeing, like, you know, most games, you're so used to seeing kicks really maximum effort or close to it, but these kicks are total finesse. You know, they're just placed. You got to take it into consideration, you know, the arc, the height, the distance. It's different than just kicking it as far as you can. Keep the legs moving.
Strength and leg drive that everybody knows who possesses liver. Throws it out to Khaleesi.
That's
On to Aronson. Here's a 2-on-1.
I've never seen a pass quite that
Aronson's
long.
going for the hat-trick, is he? No! It's inside to Rhino.
And it was right on the money. That's a long ways. And another one. And another one. Yeah, this is a lot of teamwork happening.
Chase down by Smith. Here's Kane. Gets away from his man. He's got Vincent to beat. Gets him on the outside.
You know, I watched the rugby videos that I've watched, a few, and one thing I've noticed is when it gets down to that one-on-one at the when a guy's got an open field and there's one defender there, it's always, I mean, the guy with the ball always wins that battle in everyone I've seen. This is the first one I've seen where the one guy back actually is able to stop him. And this guy did get around the defender, but the defender just chased him down. A lot of highlights against the All Blacks, I believe. I don't know.
New Zealand, that's been lost backwards by Cody Taylor and picked up by Lukanyu. Kosi and Delengi.
Behind the back.
Wow. Look on your arm. Magic, absolute magic from the center.
The number 14 in that clip, just before this right here, looked a lot bigger than Cheslin Colby and the other 14 earlier in the video. And I think the 14 is always the same position. I don't know, but I think they correspond. The numbers correspond. And if that's the case, that was a much larger 14 than I've seen. Oh, there's Colby. Yep, that's amazing. The timing of that is just crazy. Comes out of nowhere.
He's going to have to deliver. Forward Hendrickson, Willemse. Now the wide pass for Willie LaRue. Here's Lukanyu. Nice. No, he got away from Clark. Oh, he got away and scored.
On that scrum, it ended up with a guy just handing the ball back to a teammate. I have no idea what happened in the middle of that scrum when I think the ball's on the ground to get into that guy's hand. I gotta watch a video on scrums, you know, like nothing but scrums, where I can get the feeling for what happens in that situation. Fakes the pass just enough.
Has to use his feet and runs into trouble. Ball comes on the Springboks side. So they put
Oh, that guy.
goes wide from the 15. And he's in.
You know what's interesting? I've seen a lot of situations where the guy finally gets or the guy near the sideline gets the ball, and it looks like he's got a pretty clear path to the line, and there's always someone who closes the gap. even this time, there was a guy who almost made the play. They close that gap so quick that there's never an easy path. Like that guy looks pretty open, pretty alone, and then that guy comes in to make a play. Tried to, didn't make it. That's a good-looking kick. Little right to left draw. I saw Faf de Klerk. He made a play on the right side of the screen, and then he got up so fast, and he was on the left side of the screen, and not much time went by. I don't know how he got there so quick.
Great pass out wide from Chet. Creel. A pick to call through, but big get. He's got Aaron to the outside. 2-on-1 ball.
Oh, man. The timing with those passes, it's impressive. The positions they hold, you know, to make sure they're available.
Giving chase to the hoist from Price. Crossed forward by the Lions, but advantage to the Springboks. LaRue with Colby to his outside. Williams to beat, he gets away from him, and Cheslin Colby!
So is he 14? I think he's 14. They just have such instinct after I get so much playing to know when to give the ball up. The perfect time.
Along with Akira Ioane. Like it comes forward to Lard. And Kirky Aronson.
It's really fun to watch this because it's just everyone knows where everyone is and everyone's where they should be. And a lot of highlights of this has been against the All Blacks, I think. That must be an international rivalry still. Is it a big rivalry? I can't imagine it isn't. They're wearing white. In what situations do they wear white? Are they playing, like, is this Ireland maybe in green? Then they have to wear white? I don't know. But they're usually in this color. That's tough to stop from that close, having to be 5 meters back. I assume those are meters, 5 meters or 10 meter marks. These guys are just fit and big and strong and fast. In American football, there are some guys that have pretty big bellies, and they, none of these guys do. You got to be fit. Even the strong big guys have to be fit and quick. And that's a nice kick from a long ways away.
And now Sia Kolisi and his Springboks.
Are they ranked 1 in the world now? Or I don't know how rankings work, or if there's a world championship each year, but I know they're good. That was a lot of fun to watch. The most feared rugby team in the world. Is that true? I would imagine they're in the running for that title for sure. One of maybe a few teams, but that was like I said, that's the most I've ever seen of a Springboks game. Even though I've known the name Springboks since I was like this big, so that was fun. If you liked the video, please comment. If you could answer any of my questions that I probably raised, that would be cool. And subscribe and comment, and we'll be taking more looks at this game of rugby. Okay, see you later.